All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into this sneaky little thief that just quietly steals our productivity. It's a phenomenon I guarantee you felt, even if you didn't have a name for it. We're talking about Parkinson's law, what I like to call the hidden time trap.
So let me ask you this. You ever have a really simple task? I'm talking like writing one single email, and somehow it just expands and swells until it's eaten up your entire afternoon? Maybe even the whole day.
You know, if you're nodding along right now, you are definitely not alone. Way back in 1955, a British historian, Cyril Northcote Parkinson, he just hit the nail on the head. He wrote, "Work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion." And that one sentence, that's the heart of everything we're going to talk about today.
So let's break this thing down. What exactly is Parkinson's law? And more importantly, why does this idea from way back in the 50s still matter so much in how we all work right now?
Okay, at its core, Parkinson's law is a pretty simple observation. It's that a task will feel more complex, it'll feel more important depending on how much time you give it. You give a task a whole week and suddenly it feels like this huge week-long monster. Give it a day, and it feels like a day's worth of work.
I know, that might sound a little academic, but what does this actually look like in the real world? You know, in your actual day-to-day work? Okay, here's a classic one. Let's say a task really only needs 2 days of good, focused work. But your deadline is 2 weeks away. So what happens? Almost without fail, that work will stretch to fill those entire 2 weeks. It gets padded out with, just one more revision, a few pointless meetings, and a ton of overthinking. And oh yeah, it definitely happens with meetings. An issue could totally be solved with a quick 15-minute chat, but the meeting invite is for a full hour. So the discussion wanders, somebody brings up a new topic, and yep, it lasts the entire hour. I mean, does that sound familiar to anyone else? Yeah, I thought so. All right. So now that we know what this thing is, how do we actually catch it in the act? Let's dive into the common symptoms so you can spot it in your own work.
So just, ask yourself, do any of these sound a little too familiar? You've got those projects that just seem to go on forever. They never quite get done. You find yourself in meetings that drag on for no reason, only ending when the calendar reminder dings. You get stuck in that paralyzing perfectionism, just tweaking tiny details forever. And at the end of it all, you feel like you've been running on a hamster wheel, super busy, but you haven't actually gone anywhere.
Okay, but here's the really fascinating part, the psychology behind it. That endless project, it's not just about bad planning. It's often a deep-seated fear of just saying, you know what, this is good enough. Those pointless meetings, they happen because there are no hard stops, no clear limits. And that paralyzing perfectionism, that's often just our professional ego getting in the way. That feeling of false productivity, that's what happens when we've lost the thread, when we've disconnected from the actual goal.
Okay, so we've identified the problem, but here's the good news. It is not a life sentence. You can absolutely fight back. So, how do we fight back? How do we actually break this law? Let's get into some real strategies to take your time back. Okay, let's get tactical. Here's your 5-step action plan. First, divide and conquer. Take those giant projects and break them down into smaller, bite-sized tasks. Second, set aggressive deadlines. Give the work only the time it actually needs, not a minute more. Third, and this is a big one, master your meetings. If it's a 10-minute topic, you schedule a 10-minute meeting. Be ruthless. Fourth, embrace good enough. Seriously, this is crucial. You have to learn to recognize when something is effective and then just move on. It doesn't have to be perfect. And finally, number 5, use external limits. Firm dates, crystal clear goals, short meeting times. These create the healthy pressure that makes you efficient.
So, when you boil it all down, what's the one big idea you need to walk away with? Beating Parkinson's law, it isn't really about tips and tricks. It's about completely changing your relationship with time itself.
Let me give you a really simple metaphor to lock this in for you. Just think of your time like a gas.
See, it just expands to fill whatever container you give it. You give a task an entire week, and that work will puff up and swell to fill that entire space. But if you give it a small compressed container, like, say, a single afternoon, And suddenly, you'll be shocked at how laser-focused and efficient you can be. And really, this all comes down to a huge mental shift. You have to stop measuring your day by busyness, by the sheer number of hours you worked, and you need to start measuring it by effectiveness, by the actual results you achieved. Those two things, they are absolutely not the same thing. And here's the bottom line. If you want to move fast, if you want to advance in your work, you have to learn how to close things out fast. You have to know when a project is done, know when a decision has been made, close the loop, and move on to the next valuable thing.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question. Take a really honest look at your calendar, at your to-do list, at the projects you're working on right now. Now that you know its name, now that you know what it looks like, where is Parkinson's law hiding in your week?